Well, that is the end of the bidding. We're going to have a screen up in just a moment. By the way, for those that I've not met, if I can get your attention, please. I'm Wayne Sharp. I'm one of the members on the board I'm on the board of directors of Parenting with a Purpose. And we're going to pull a screen up in just a moment. No, it's getting quiet now. Okay, here's the instructions. As you know, the auction is now closed. And so if you pull up your phones, you can find out what you won by clicking on the menu, then going to My Items. And if you're having any trouble, I think if you raise your hand, we can probably send someone around to give you a hand with that. But you should be able to see the items that you purchased, and I think it will walk you through how to pay. We just thank you. We thank all of you. We had some awesome items this year in our bid. We want to thank all of the people who donated those items. You see that in the little program that you have. So we want to thank them. We want to thank you for bidding, and hope you got your bids.
I really believe personally that to whom much is given, much is expected. And just taking the time to meet and give back on the skills that you have can help make everything better and mean more than probably you can even imagine. I learned about parenting with purpose. It was actually through work. We were doing a community giving month, and a colleague of mine joined, and he shared that he's been a volunteer with Parenting with Purpose. And as soon as he was finished, I messaged him and said, I am super interested in also volunteering. Like, how do I get started? I have personally always been passionate about helping women and making sure that women know their worth and that they're a child of God, despite any of their circumstances. And so when I heard that through my colleague at work about Parenting with Purpose, I reached out immediately and called Lori, and she said, oh, would you like to mentor a kid? And having 2 kids of my own, I felt like that probably isn't a great idea right now. But I said I would love to mentor a woman if there's people who need a mentor. And after praying about it, she called me and said, I have a woman I really want you to meet. And so that's how Janaea and I got together. It wasn't actually me choosing Janaea. I really feel that God brought us together, and I've been working with her throughout the last year to just make sure that she feels that she has the support she needs, to also help her in terms of looking at a career and making sure that she has the skills. We've also worked a lot on her finances and making sure that she can be setting herself up for success, and her children too. It has really opened my eyes to seeing that not everyone is like me, and people have different paths in life. And, I've had a pretty easy life, and Janaea's had a lot of different circumstances, but she is seriously one of the strongest women I know. And she just continues to forge forward, even as she's had several challenges. And Janaea's affected my life where now, honestly, she's one of my friends. Yeah, I learned probably as much, if not more, from her than maybe she is from me. I truly love spending time with her. She's awesome. My kids have loved getting to know Janaea's kids. They've really enjoyed playing together. And actually, for Halloween, my daughter decided not to go with her neighborhood friends and to go around with Janaea's daughter and daughters and take them around and show off her new special friend to the neighborhood. And I know the kids have just loved being part of this. It's very clear in terms of they're privileged, and that they also need to look outside of themselves and care for others. And I love to see them doing that in their tiny little hearts, caring and thinking about other people. Over the last year, it has become way more than just mentoring, talking about career. Janaea has 4 little girls, all under the age of 10. They live in a 2-bedroom apartment. And as you can imagine, COVID did not make things any easier. And then this winter, Janaea was diagnosed with cancer. And so we have just spent a lot of time together and with her little girls praying and talking about what support she needs. When Janaea just found out she had been diagnosed with cancer, I drove over and she was feeling really down, and we went out to dinner, and after dinner we were all driving back and we decided to park, and we all held hands and just said a prayer. And the sweetest thing was her kids praying for her too, and it was just a really special moment together. I just want to reiterate that what a blessing Parenting with Purpose has been to me personally. I felt called by God to, as I mentioned, to really help women, and I wasn't expecting to make a friend out of this, and I just feel so lucky to have had this opportunity to mentor and make a friendship with Janaea, and for her being welcoming to me. Also, she feels like family to me, and I just feel like that's such a blessing. You know, one of the most incredible things, one of my neighbors started crying and just said, I haven't really believed in God, but seeing your actions and how you actually are serving and doing what you expect Christians to do encourages me to believe in God too. And that meant more to me than anything else I think anybody could say. I want people to understand that Janaea is not the only one. There are so many Janaeas out there and kids that need our support. We need to be the community and the hands and feet of Christ and be helping these families. Again, to whom much is given, much is expected, and we need to be helping to uplift them and support them so that they have an opportunity just like we've had.
Welcome, everyone, to the 27th Annual PWP Experience. Come on, give a round of applause. 27th Annual. My name is Priscilla Roberts, and I have the honor of serving as your MC for the evening. Now, before we begin the official program, we always like to take just a few minutes to do some recognitions and our thank yous. Because sometimes you get towards the end and you forget, people get upset. So we're going to cover all that right now. All right. First of all, if you are a PWP board member, I'm going to ask that you would just stand. I know I'm one. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. All right. And I just want to recognize our board chair, Gary Courtney, who is absent on this evening time, as well as our other board member, Mike Brass. All right. So, from registration to setup to decorating, these sort of things take time in order for an event to go off the way that it has so far. So I want to take a minute. If you had anything to do with registration, with decorating, and helping set up, can you just wave your hands for us so we can just give you a round of applause? The place looks absolutely magnificent. Yes, we've got new people on the registration table. Didn't they do a wonderful job at greeting you when you came in? Yes, all right. And then, in order for this to go as smoothly as possible, it takes a very, very special touch. And I want you to turn around and just take a look back there at that tech booth. And they're going to give us a wave. And let me tell you, they need a round of applause today. Yes, they do. You can't pull any of this off without tech people anymore. All right. And then we have the wonderful Marriott staff. I don't know where they went, but oh, weren't they fabulous? They got our tables all ready for us, laid out the red carpet, treat us like kings and queens and princes and princesses. So we want to make sure we recognize them. Now, as I call your name or your organization, I'm going to ask that you would just stand because we definitely want to recognize you this evening time. First of all, I have on my list here the mayor of Brooklyn Park, Mayor Lisa Jacobson. I don't know where you are, but I know you're here. There she is. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming out. And then we have a Minnesota House of Representative, Kristen Robbins. Is she here this evening time? There she is. Welcome, Kristen. Thank you. Thank you for coming out. And we have Hennepin County Commissioner Jeff Lundy. Is he here this evening time? I don't see him. Well, we'll give him a round of applause in his absence. All right. And then I have Osseo Area School Board, Tanya Simmons, and she might be out at the registration table. She was one of the ones that welcomed you this evening time. And there she is. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, thank you. All right. And then I have Brooklyn Park City Council member Tanya West Hoffner in the house. There she is. Hi, Tanya. Welcome this evening. And on my list, I have someone that I've known for quite some time. He's Minnesota House District 34A candidate, Danny Nadeau. Stand up, Danny. Good. All right. And then I have Maple Grove City Council candidate, Rachel Johnson. Is she here this evening time? Wonderful. Great. Thank you all for coming out this evening. Now, I understand that we have several congregations this year, and I'm wondering if I don't have them listed per congregation, but if you're a pastor and you have a congregation here this evening, can you just all stand up so we can recognize you? I see some over here. Come on, pastors. There they are. There they are. We always like to recognize our clergy. Wonderful. Thank you so much for bringing out your congregation on this evening time to join us. And now something very new. If this is your first time ever attending the PWP experience, I want you to wave your hand. Whoa, look at all these new faces. We love new people. Yes. That's wonderful. Welcome aboard. And of course, we couldn't do this without you. We couldn't do it without the audience. We couldn't do it without the participation. So we want to welcome everyone that is here and also our live stream audience for this evening time. One more hand clap. One more. There we go. And last, but certainly not least, we have to give honor and thanks to God for blessing us to do this another year. All right, let our journey begin. Our theme for this year's PWP experience is Start Right Here, Start Right Now. Throughout the program this evening, we'll have spotlights of individuals that will share their personal messages with you of starting right here and starting right now. Now, our intro spotlight just happens to be the audience. The spotlight is going to be on you for just a few minutes here. So, how do we start right here? How do we start right now? How do we start where our heart is telling us to do something? Just take about 3 seconds and think about that for just a minute. So we may have to make several plans. We may try, we may fail. Sometimes we have to take a leap of faith. PWP took a leap of faith 27 years ago and has had many volunteers that have helped them along the way. Tonight, our spotlight is going to be on our volunteers. We want to recognize them as we go through the program. But we are looking for people who are willing to start right here, right now. Now, as you watch Charity's video, you can see that our families need love and support from those that are around them. Parenting with Purpose desires to help fulfill this need, but we can't do it alone. It takes resources, it takes talent, it takes time, and it takes volunteers. So just for a moment, I'm going to ask if you can just pull out this little card. It says it's a support card. But we're not looking at that yet. We're going to flip it all the way to the back. And look at all the areas that you can help us out in. You can be a mentor of a child. You can mentor a recently released parent. There's teaching opportunities, there's donations, there's creative media opportunities for all of you that want to do media. We have special events opportunities for all of our events. We need help with those things, and those can be fun, very short, but time-consuming, but short. And then, of course, you could sponsor a table at the PWP Experience, and you can introduce PWP to your congregations or any community agency that might not know about a particular service that offers help to incarcerated parents or children of incarcerated parents. Some people, they don't know that. So if you have an organization in mind, you can certainly share this information with them. And then we're inviting you to our newest one. It's called New Connections. And that is our PWP Meet and Greet. It's a 30-minute virtual session over lunch hour, 20 minutes of just some snapshots of PWP, kind of what we're about, the mission. We kind of go over that sort of thing, and about 10 minutes for a Q&A. And those meetings happen every 3 months. There'll be one in November, so we'll make sure you're looking out for that one. And then any other thing that you might want to know about PWP, you can just go ahead and list that on here. Now, the rest of the card will be gone over and a little bit later on in our program, but for right now, we're looking at the back of that. So please be sure to fill that out. It's not online, it's nothing fancy, it's just the good old-fashioned way of making a check mark. That's all it is. All right. Okay, let's see. Moving on now. For the next section of our program, we're going to have 3 spotlights. These individuals will share their personal message of starting right here and starting right now. With that, I will turn the microphone over to our very first spotlight. Give them a hand.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ramon Harris. I am a board member. When I asked earlier, when she asked to stand up, you could see. Tonight, I would like to talk about my friendship, my connection. I really don't like using the word friend because he's much more than that, and that's Paul Strong in the ministry. But I met Paul 28 years ago, 27, 28 years ago in the school system. And this past week, we were talking about what I was going to say tonight, and we were going down memory lane, and it's a lot I could say, but I have 5 minutes. I meant to turn my phone on to make sure I stay within the time. But when I say friend, it goes beyond that because we've been through a lot, the good times, the bad times. But one of the stories I want to share that actually we were talking about this week that really touched me and brought back to how much he really meant to me. My son was going through something when he was in 7th grade. And he was rebelling in school, and it was really out of character. And they wanted to put him on Ritalin. And I knew that wasn't what he needed. So I called Paul, and I said, hey, listen, this is what's going on. He said, give me a minute, let me pray. Calls me back and he says, we're going on a retreat, and he's taking some high school kids. I believe they were juniors and seniors, and he wanted to know if I would let my son go with him. Now, if you understand me and my kids, that would have been absolutely no. I don't know you. I just met you. We talked a few times in the school. Absolutely not. But for some reason, and the reason was God, he said, let him go, because I prayed about it. He said, let him go. And it turned my son's life around. To be a 7th grader, and you're going with high school kids, they took him on like he was their little brother, He protected my son. Of course, he brought him back, and his life has never been the same. And that's the same thing he did for me as a grown-up. He took me under his wing. He led me to, not actually led me to Christ, but he helped me in my walk with Christ. I would not be the godly man that I am today without him and a couple other men that God put in my life, my pastor and another man, Eric Yancey. But Paul and I have been if you're thinking tonight about doing something that will change your life, I'm here to tell you this is the ministry. I serve on the board because I've seen up close what this ministry does and what God is doing through the ministry. And to have people like Paul and Lori, and before it used to be Parenting with Pride, we changed the name to Parenting with Purpose because in the Bible, pride is a sin. Paul reminded me of this week. And another thing I want to share is that also drew me to Paul was, I remember when his oldest son was sick. And Paul was upstairs, and he told Lori, something's wrong with our son. Let's go downstairs. And she said, no, he's asleep. Everything's fine. And he went down, and something was wrong with him. They had to rush him to the hospital. And when Paul was telling me the story, he said that he prayed and told God, I just want to thank you for the time that I had. He didn't ask God to heal him. He didn't beg God. He didn't fault God. He just said, I just want to thank you for the time you've given with me. And when I look at that and I thought back, there's no way that any one of my kids being sick, and I just lost a son, that was my prayer. I thank God for the time we did have with him, but I couldn't make that prayer. I wanted him to heal, be well. And to think of a man that would trust God with the most precious things that he has. Man, that's trust. That's a good man. So I'm not sure about my time, but in the last story I want to tell you about, even about this ministry starting. When I met Paul in the school, he was telling me that he was getting ready to leave his job. And I was like, okay, you must have some clients. He said, no. I said, all right, well, your wife got a good job, so, you can quit and she'll hold down until the ministry starts. No, she has to quit too. We're doing it together. So hold on, bro. Wait. You getting ready to leave your job, a good job now. We ain't talking about no little job. And your wife is leaving hers and you don't have any clients. He said, no. I said, why would you do that? I said, what would make you do something like that? He said, I have the word of God. And I said, what? He said, the word of God. Yeah, okay. And I walked away like, man, that dude crazy. But 27 years later and being part of the ministry, I found out that I was crazy. God is faithful. So if you don't learn anything else today, God has brought you here for a reason, to show you a faithful ministry, show you a ministry that he's involved, and hopefully to turn your life around, that you would do something and stand on what he's told you to do. I thank you for your time. Sir.
Hello, my name is Sam Raymond Snyder, and I've been a volunteer with Parenting Purpose for a while. I have to start this off as a cliche, though. Sorry about that. So a Baptist preacher, a Lutheran minister, and a Jewish rabbi walk into a bar. Immediately, the rabbi turns around to the other and says, hey, did you hear the one about us? That's a similar reaction that I got when I met the neighbors across my hall from my office in 1995. Maybe it was 96, but I believe in 95. My wife, Marcy, and I owned a small call center on West Broadway in Brooklyn Park. Some of you know where that's at. New tenants were moving in, so I called the landlord to get the scoop on them. And sheepishly, she said that, they're a nonprofit. Kind of waited for me to say something. And I said, well, non or no profit, that I knew about. So I grabbed a poinsettia off my desk and went across the hall to meet the new neighbors. And during that brief welcome to the neighborhood meeting, the couple that ran the office for Paul and Lori at that time prayed for me and my family. They also got me on the hook to pick up young children that I had never met, from parents that I had never met, to come to a monthly Overcomers program for children with one or more incarcerated parents. I don't believe they had had their first meeting yet. Now that's the start right here, start right now. For the most of the last 24 or 25 years, I volunteered at the PWP as a driver. And I know it doesn't sound too important or interesting, but I think it's one of the most important things that I can do. I'm charged with the safe transportation of God's most precious cargo, our overcomers. I drive them to monthly overcomers meetings, pre-pandemic and getting back into it now, where younger kids have crafts and a time for a Bible lesson, and the teens meet to talk about how lessons from the Bible can help them with their real issues. Over the years, I've also driven kids to special events like packing food at Feed My Starving Children, bowling events, Family Fun Day, a motorcycle ride fundraiser, picnics, sports events, and when we were allowed, we took kids to visit their incarcerated moms at the Shakopee Women's Prison. That's been many miles and many hours with our kids. To the parents of our kids, thank you for sharing them with me. All of these kids have been worth the time. Years ago, I picked up a group of 5 brothers over in St. Paul for our Overcomers meetings. Their names all ended with the letter O, so they were, of course, my O boys. One morning, it must have been particularly early for one of them because all but the youngest was sleeping during the drive from St. Paul over to Brooklyn Park. The youngest was visibly concerned about how his hair looked, and he tapped me on the shoulder while looking to make eye contact with me in my rearview mirror. He said, "Mr. Sam, do you know a store around here that sells do-rags?" I pulled the car off the side of the road, and I turned around to look back at him, and he just, when we did make eye contact, he just said, "Oh, sorry, never mind." It still felt good that he was comfortable enough to ask. PWP is about relationships. One year I was a gap mentor for 3 young men. Charles and Tion were brothers, and then there was Larry. I called him Lawrence, mainly because when I did, he rolled his eyes and made that teenage male sound. You know that sound, you've heard it. Only vowels, no consonants. These young men did not yet have mentors, so I was asked to stand in the gap while they waited. They all played football, so I went to a game that each one played in, and we went to a couple of Minnesota Pioneer semi-pro games together. Again, all worth my time. My last story about PWP relationships is about the Brantley girls, Jaslyn and Jakaya. These 2 sisters were both under 10, I believe, and about 2 years apart. They lived with their auntie while their mom was incarcerated in the Shakopee Women's Prison. They were chatty, high energy, and never afraid to ask questions. One morning I came to pick them up for Overcomers, and my wife Marcy was with me. And this was not usually the case. When the girls came out the door, and Jaslyn, the youngest, stopped in her tracks. She pointed at the car and said, "Who is that?" Pointing at Marcy, riding shotgun in the minivan. Never before or since have I ever felt the need to justify anything about my wife. But clearly, Jaslyn was looking for an explanation. She was pacified when I explained that Marcy was available that morning and wanted to meet some of the people from Overcomers that I talked about. I barely finished my statement when out of the mouth of that sweet little girl came, "Do you sleep with her?" Again, I never thought that before or since. I swallowed hard because I had no idea what was coming out next. I said, "Well, yes, I do." And with the innocence of an angel, Jaslyn said, "I get to sleep with my mommy next weekend." Her mom was able to have one of her daughters come and spend the day and night with her in Shakopee for the weekend. Jaslyn was so excited about that and knew I would understand because I got to sleep with Marcy. PWP is about relationships. Start right here, start right now. The work that PWP is important to all of us. It affects all of us. Look at the data about these kids, what they do when they're part of the PWP program. These kids will never have the same opportunities that many of you had. But by giving just a little bit of your time and love to these kids, you make all our lives better. Start right here, start right now. PWP has many volunteer opportunities available as mentors or even just drivers. After all the time I've been involved with PWP, I can say I have gotten so much more than I gave. The need is real, the need is here, and the need is now. And selfishly, you deserve the rewards of getting to know these kids. You deserve the chance to make a real difference in our community. So please start right here, start right now. Thank you.
We are Rod and Judy Matson. We've been volunteers with PWP for what, almost 14 years. And we were introduced to a family, and specifically two kids, Louie and Julia. Hello, can you hear me? You look great. Should I get to the point? Anyway, Rod and I? Why am I nervous over here? I'm never nervous. Give me I'm going to dance. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. Judy and I, this is Judy, I'm Rod. Let's make sure we get that right. All right? Now if I'm going to read my own writing. Okay, Judy and I have been married almost 29 years. Judy was an elementary teacher. With that came lots of kids. She's always correcting something with me. First, her nieces and nephews, and then my nieces and nephews in combination. Lots of fun memories and long-lasting relationships, some of them here tonight. Then officially mentoring with PWP. We learned PWP through a motorcycle deal. And then we were officially matched up with Louie and Julia. Louie was 6 or 7 years old at the time. He's going to be 22 on Wednesday. Julia's 23. Of course, she'll be 24 in December. It's what I'm.
About your family.
What's that?
Your family. Should I take over?
Yeah, if you don't, yeah, go ahead. I'm falling apart over here.
I'm not sure if he's falling apart or just lost his way on the
I lost
page.
my way.
Okay. So anyway, so we met Julia and Louie, and we immediately had a great connection. They only lived 20 minutes from our home, so it was easy to pick them up and get them involved in things like swimming lessons, Bible school, boating, sports, and family events. During these years, I was an elementary teacher. Julia loved to help me in my classroom whenever she was available and was just a natural leader with that. She decided to get her elementary education degree at the University of Minnesota, and she succeeded, graduated as a first generation in her family with a college degree. Later, she met Tony, got engaged, and was offered a different career and administrative position in the family business in Stillwater, working with her future in-laws. She's planning to get married next summer in Stillwater. I keep in touch with Julia and enjoy hearing about her life. She became a part of my extended family who also gave her love and support. And I'd like to give a shout out to my sister Beth, raise your hand please, who had a major role in supporting Julia. She was in my life during my retirement, a new puppy, and the death of both parents. As she became older, we became a support system for each other, and therefore she was a source of strength for me. Because of my experience with Julia, I have empathy for children who have been impacted by incarceration through no fault of their own. Watching her, I see it is possible to overcome. in summary, about Julia, I gave her my heart, she gave me love. I gave her possibilities, she gave me appreciation. I gave her hope, she gave me joy. From there, I'll move on to 2 years ago, I was given another opportunity to mentor Esther. Esther is here tonight. I'd like her to stand up and give a wave, table 22. She was 5 years old at the time, so for the last 2 years, I've had the privilege of getting together with Esther, who is full of fun, joy, energy, and athletic ability. In summary about Esther, I have given her experiences, she has given me appreciation. I have given her peace away from 3 young siblings. She has given me joy. I have given her fun, she has given me laughter. And I look forward to spending more time with her in the years to come. Both of these girls have been a blessing in my life, and I'm thankful to be a part of their lives. Mentoring has truly been a fulfilling experience for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. I took the mic.
All right, thank you so much, Ramon and Sam and Rod and Judy. We certainly appreciate that. Now, one of our beliefs here at PWP is using the natural gifts and talents of our youth. This evening, I am excited to introduce this young man. He's 19 years old. He enjoys psychology. A 19-year-old that enjoys psychology. He loves to learn. He loves to read. And he creates and records his own music. Here tonight to give us a spoken word is T.Y.G. Where you at? Where is he? There he is. Come on, T.Y.G. Come on.
Hello? Hi, everyone. My name is Xavion. My stage name is TYG Zay, and this is a poem I made. If y'all don't mind, I might have my phone up here because I am a little nervous. Okay. The poem is called Away from Home. Eyes away from home, looking into distant conflict while stepping over bones. Hands away from home, while tending others' wounds ignorant to our own. Blind to our land's weary souls, filled with those with no food at home. Plane falls from the sky, can we help others with our mask before our own? Breathless when we die, life is a treasure worth more than gold. Hearing my home cry, beckoning me back to where I belong, entrusting me to bring the light back to my shattered home, so that I may help correct our many wrongs. Giving time to heal our wounded state, so we may prevent others from reaching our fate. Start here, start now, start today. As simple as making a plate or helping an ex-inmate. Not out of pride or fear of shame, but purely to make a change. Thank you.
Thank you, Xavion. We certainly appreciate that for this evening time. So, keeping our theme, starting right here, starting right now, reminds us have over the years how many have influenced PWP, individually as well as their organization. And I'm going to turn this microphone over to Lori right now so she can tell you about that. Give her a hand, everyone.
So now that you've heard how some of our volunteers' lives have changed being a part of PWP, I wanted to share who has really impacted me since we started PWP. I asked myself that, and this lady was the first one on my heart. This young lady really impacted my life many years ago, and continues to amaze me as she's accomplished so much since she left prison in 1998. She has become a leader in her church. She's earned a bachelor's in social work, a master's in social work. She's a licensed social worker and a national healthcare provider trained psychotherapist with a private practice. She has been, yeah, go ahead, give her a clap. She has been an inspiration to myself and many others. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Tatanisha.
I don't even know why I'm crying right now. Y'all just give me 1 second. So I met Lori first at Shaka P. Yes, I was incarcerated. I'm just looking at these pictures. Okay, I met Lori in Shaka P. I'm one of her alumni, right? One of the originals. We like to say it's a few of us. And I went to her group. So when I met Lori and I went to the first Parenting with Purpose, it was Parenting with Pride. I remember that, Ramon. I remember that. And I went to the group, and I was like, well, what's she going to teach me about parenting? So we're going to go see. So I went to go see, and I just fell in love with her. Like, she says I impacted her, but she impacted me. And I was like, oh, excuse me, I was like, oh, this white lady in here teaching. Like, what is she? I'm like, okay, let me hear what she got to say, right? And so I was receptive, and I was open, and I came back again. And then I came back again. And then I came home, and I met her husband. I had never met her husband. You know, she talks about him all the time. At the time, she only had Tasha, and she was getting ready to have Isaiah. And I'm like, this family must be the bomb. You know, I got to get to meet this family and get to know them and be a part of the program. And so the program just helped me get grounded and stay connected with my family. Also, it connected me with a new family, letting me know that families look different, right? And they're always not your mother, father, brother, and sister. They can be your mentor, your driver, your volunteer. So Paul and Lori, Parenting with Purpose, connected me with my home church, Church of New Life, back there. They connected me with a grounded family. They became my family. I don't even consider Paul and Lori like friends. They're my family. There's no friend closer than your brother, right? But they're beyond friend. They're beyond friend. They care. They make you feel as though you're not forgotten. When you're in there, it seems like people look at you, they look down at you and make you feel forgotten, or they don't deserve it. But there's other people that's connected to me that can't and does not need to be forgotten, like my children. They were teaching us about parenting skills, and parenting skills the godly way. That was the difference in Paul and Lori's group. I asked you that question. So the difference in this program was that everything was based and founded in the root of God. That's what Parenting with Purpose is about. Doing the will of God, connecting me to my family of God, connecting me to this family. I watched Tasha grow up. Tasha watched me grow up, and watched my kids grow up. And I've been with them ever since. So now, yes, I've accomplished some things, right? I went to school. I have a couple of education degrees, which I'm proud of. Thank you, God. Right? But when you look at me, you probably wouldn't know that. Don't look at me. look at what God can do. If you come, and plant your seeds in a rooted and grounded program that's in God, it's going to flourish. God's going to water it. It's going to grow right here, right now. Amen.
All right, are we having a good time here? From the time you walked in to up to right now. All right, so before I introduce our final spotlight, I wanted to read just a couple of things for your hearing. The first thing, for those of you that are new here, is the PWP mission. Through mentoring, education, and support, PWP will bring healing, restoration, and liberty to families affected by incarceration. This next section is the heart, if you will, of PWP. If we can change an individual who is part of a family, you affect the family. The family affects the community. So now you have less crime, more employed people in your neighborhoods, and people who are safer to be around. The family is now an asset versus a drain on the community. A healthy family produces healthy children who positively influence the future. A domino effect which occurs for generations to generations. Written from the heart of one of the co-founders, supported by the other heart of the co-founder. So it gives me the greatest joy to introduce to you married couple, co-laborers in the kingdom. If you would stand to your feet and give a round of applause to Lori and Paul Strong as they take the stage together. Come on, come on. Oh, there's your notes. Okay. Yeah, I'm not done yet. Okay. No. Well, welcome to your spotlight. Good evening. Welcome to your spotlight.
Thank you.
So before I turn the mic over to you, we have just a couple of questions, and everybody I know wants to know the answer to this one. 27 years, this awesome, awesome business, and we know that it's a business. How did this vision begin?
I'm talking first, because if anybody has ever heard Paul talk, he's got to have the stage without me. So I'm just going to do the first part, because he closes it and everybody loves it. So 27 years ago, I was working at an organization that I was teaching parenting to women that were in treatment for chemical dependency, and Paul was working at a place where he was working with single parent families. And he called me at my office. I still remember the call, that was a long time ago. He called me and he said, "Do you have parenting for this mom that I'm working with? Can you teach her parenting and help her?" And unfortunately, I had to say no, because the agency I was working at was very limited, and we only taught parenting to women in treatment. And so when I hung up the phone, just something inside of me, and now I know it was the Lord, back then I did not know that, is I knew there was a gap somewhere. And so we talked about filling that gap. And where is that gap? And so the Lord led us through some relationships to the women's prison at Shakopee. And we sat down with their family director. And at the time, there was 160 women there, and now there's over 600. So there's a lot of growth in the prison, unfortunately. But we offered to teach parenting. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
And that meeting was something else. So we said we would like to offer parenting classes to the women here. And she said, well, I'm not really sure that it would work. I'm going to share this story, okay? I didn't plan on this, but I'm not really sure it will work. I mean, I know it will if he teaches, because she was looking at his race, but I'm not sure if they'd receive from you. And I was like, okay. And this is an older white woman that said that to me. And so God has a sense of humor. And we are walking out of the prison, and you might not know this, but in prison, you're not supposed to hug anybody you see. 4 African-American women were walking down the hall when we were walking out, and they stopped and said, Lori, and they all gave me a hug in front of her. They knew me from when I was a treatment counselor. And from then, I think the lady was like, whoa, I guess I was wrong about that. And so we left that meeting, and they said, we'll give you a 6-week trial period, and we'll see how it goes. So Paul and I went in, we started teaching parenting together, and good rumors spread very fast. And we ended up being there for 18 years at the women's prison in Shakopee. And that's, again, where I met Tanisha. Yeah, awesome. So that's how it started. I'm going to let Paul talk about how it continued, but I know Priscilla might have another question. Okay, so you're going to talk about how it continued. Should we do that, or should we wait? Okay, you can ask the question. Okay, and then we'll let you talk about it.
Yes. Then yes.
Boss, he always calls me, okay, boss.
All right, so we know that you are married and raising kids and have raised kids and all of that good stuff. And we also know that this is a business. It's a partnership between the two of you, that you were one separately and came together as one to make this business work for 27 years. So just in a snapshot, can you tell us about one of the biggest challenges you can recall and how you overcame that?
No.
I would say just overall, and this is for any married couple that works together, you have to separate the two things. You have to separate your marriage and your business. You can't overlap it too much. So early on, I think it was just hard for me because I was just working all the time, and Paul would be like, when do I get some time? And so I think it's just separating and drawing really clear boundaries has been a challenge up until I think now, as we get more mature. That's the word he likes to use. As we get more mature and I get a little more mellow in my maturity, I think it's a little bit easier. What do you think? Any challenges? Oh, you have a mic. He has a mic. He has his own mic, so you want me to step down?
No, you've already put me on the spot. So, I would say a 3-strand cord is not easily broken. And that is, and will always be the key. To have God at the center, man and woman on the other side. That alleviate all the other stuff. When I get moody, I remember I love her. And she's my co-laborer. And so that's been the challenge that God had to really work in me. Because it's just as, and those of you know me, I hate the spotlight. Because it's not about me, it's about the people that I work with, and it's about my Heavenly Father. My family, my kids, allow me to do this, and my wife allowed me to do this. And so coming home and knowing that I'm loved helps a lot. Helps a lot. When people see this, they understand now love one for another. So So now she get, oh my goodness.
I'm going to go sit down and let him preach.
I'm not preaching. I'm not preaching. I'm not preaching.
Thank you all.
I'm not preaching. No, I'm not preaching. No, I'm not preaching. I would have liked to apologize. I was trying to get you guys out of here, you ladies and gentlemen, at 8 o'clock. And when I sat down there, I was like, oh, Lord, we ain't going to make it. So please forgive me now. I'm going to try to give you the short version, which I know is not going to satisfy everybody because some people want the long version. You just got to set a lunch date. I'll give you the long date. Well, start here, start now. Think about that. You never know when God's going to say, start here. Start now. I was a snotty-nosed, 27-year-old trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life. I was in Toronto, Canada at a conference, 1993. And I heard this voice, turn the hearts of the fathers to their children. Had no clue what that meant. So I was with some church brothers, and on the break, I ran to my pastor who became one of my mentors, and I said, hey, I feel like God spoke to me, Malachi 4:6. Turn the hearts of the fathers to their children and the children's hearts to their fathers. And he looked it up and he's like, yeah. And I said, so what do I do with this? He said, in timing, God will reveal it to you. This is 1993. I confess, I'm not smart enough to do this, what you see. I don't know anybody in prison, how to get in there, who to talk to, none of that. I ran into a man who saw me, who looked different from me, and said, God has something amazing for you. Didn't know what it was. He just said that, and I said, who, me? Do you know where I come from? So he said, let's get together and have lunch. I said, sure. I live on Lake Street. Meet me at the Popeyes on Lake Street. Guess what I was trying to do? Push him away. So we go there, Popeyes, and I see this homeless guy. And I'm saying to myself, once he sees this guy and smells this aroma, he gonna leave me alone. It didn't smell too good for those of you who didn't get it. To my surprise, he went to the guy and he said, hey, can I buy you lunch? That blew me away. I was raised in church, but I actually see somebody practice what they were trying to get me to do, blew me away. That was the start. So I invited him into my life. And every time he sees me, he would say, it's a special plan for you. It's special plans. And that just made me feel like, wow, all the things that I've went through, gone through, there's still use for me. Speed it up a little further. I was praying one day, God drops Matthew 25. And he says, when have I seen you sick, hungry, or visited you in prison? I was like, prison? And I was just stuck there at prison. Prison? And then I began to work with kids who were on parole, and trying to get custody, joint custody, or visitations with their kids. It did not dawn on me until I made that phone call to Lori. At that time, we were friends. Does this make any sense? We were friends. We were friends. And she said, do they have parenting? I was like, I don't know, I'm working with the kids. These are 4 ladies, single, with 15 kids apiece. And she looked and didn't do that. She said, oh, so I said, okay. And then God got a sense of humor. He said, I'm gonna take you from here to go to an organization in St. Paul. I'm gonna really speed it up. So then I'm working with guys. I got 20 guys, 30 guys in this class. And we got probationary officers in the same building. Some of these guys have, on their last leg, they've failed 3-4 times. So we used to eat with some of the probation officers. So and then on Monday we talk about football. Most of them was Vikings fans, so I was just listening. And so one of them said, you caught that, huh? And so I was, sitting with one of them. I'm gonna call him John. Mr. John comes in and he says, Paul, can I get a moment of your time? I said, sure. He said, I got 15 guys in your group, and what are you doing? I'm like, what do you think? What do you mean? I mean, he's a probation officer. So I'm thinking somebody said something or I gave something out. Brother Earl, you know what I'm talking about. And I said, no, I'm not doing anything. He said, no, it's good, because he saw me get kind of sweaty. Again, where I come from. And he said, no. These guys graduating? I said, yeah. He said, do you know the story? I said, I don't ask them what they're in here for or any of that stuff. He said, all 15 of them, every time we try to get them in a program like this, they fail. They come once, come twice, and for some reason, they just don't finish. And for some reason, they all finish your class. What'd you do? I said, just loved on them. We talked, and we talked about kids and how kids need their dads. So for the next year and a half, I had 30 guys in. All the probation officers were sending their guys to my group. And then my last time where God was beginning to say, I'm finna move you. I'm like, that can't be. I've got a nice little thing going here. And one of the guys said, hey, we're gonna throw Coach this big old party. That's against the rules. So, and I didn't know it. So we go to the park, 35 guys there. I said, I gotta go. I didn't know that was my last time seeing those guys, because God had another assignment for me. So now I'm finna get to PWP. We changed it to Parenting with Purpose. And the Lord said, there's a purpose for parenting. And if you know my wife, anything that comes with families, she's 100% in. So we were doing one of these events, and there was a guy from Faribault, Minnesota. And he sat here and he heard the ladies share their testimonies. And he said, can I set up a meeting with you guys? I said, yeah. So he said, let me talk to the warden, and we'll see what we can do down there. So we go down there. My wife is all giddy. And truth be told, I'm afraid. Don't look at me like that, man. I'm afraid. Because I got a sense what's finna happen. And I really wasn't ready. So he gives us a tour of Fairboat. And back then, and I was only 30, really young, still young. So we're doing a tour, and I can feel the evil walking in there. And the only other time I've experienced that is when I was blessed to go to Argentina. And that's when the Lord gave me a picture of what he was calling me to do. I had an opportunity to go tour a correction facility over there with another ministry organization. So we're there, we do the tour, he brings us back to his office. And he said, we would like for you to come out here and teach parenting. This is the part where how these guys affect my life. And I said, give me 3 days. If you know me, I do everything 3 days, 7 days. So my wife, we're in the car, she laughing, she get it. I'm like, what are you laughing for? She said, you know you're gonna do it. I said, it's easy for you to say, you ain't gotta go in there. And I'm sweating. 3 minutes later, I said, pull over the side of the road. She pulls over the side of the road, and she hear me says, yes. I wasn't saying yes to her. And we get back on the road, and we get home 3 days. I call him, I said, yes, I'd love to come out there and do it. So we come up with the curriculum. First day I get in there, I hear the cling, cling. I get giddy, I'm jumping. Oh, this is my journey. And y'all gonna let me out, right? See, I'm saying what you guys are thinking when you see people, you see the movie and all that other stuff. It's real when you get these emotions. Because you heard the young lady say people judge you. They look at you. And so I get to my first class. I get through the first class, sprint to my car. They had somebody to escort me. I said, man, I'm finna run. I was the youngest one in the group. And everybody at that time was in my group had done hard time at some of the hardest prisons in America. So I sprint to my car. I get through the 12 sessions. I'm speeding it up. Call him Leroy. And my wife heard me say Leroy. This is not his name, so don't go try to Google Leroy. He's 6'5", 270, chiseled. Didn't say a word. But he was always the last guy out the class. Never said a word to me. He just looked me up and down and kept walking. The last class. Stands up. Man, I'm getting emotional. So I'm getting ready to shut it down, give them their certificates. I hear a couple guys say, man, this is the first time I've ever got anything that looks this nice, and this is the first time I've achieved anything. And I started hearing sniffles, my brother was fighting back the tears. And I'm like, so I couldn't make a joke because I'm the youngest one in there. So Mr. Leroy stands up and everybody started talking because they're excited. He stands up and the whole room get quiet. He's a spokesperson. So I'm showing you where I started with the word. Okay, Paul, I got to tell you this. When Ramon said I had 2 weeks to put in my notice, I had 2 weeks. My wife had already put her two weeks notice in. Matter of fact, she left before the 2 weeks even started. And I said, there's no way they're gonna give me 2 weeks with the work I was doing. They give me 2 weeks. Some of my coworkers were saying, what are you gonna do? I said, I'm going to, work with families of incarceration. How you gonna get paid? I got my last check and my vacation and my sick time. Only thing I'm doing is I just gotta go. We haven't missed a beat since. People thought I was crazy, but I had to start right there. Now I'm in Faribault. Mr. Leroy says, young fella, after the first group, no, he said, young fella, after the first group, we didn't think you were coming back. We smelled fear all over you. I said, yeah. He said, but I say this with all sincerity. What you got and what I heard when you made this statement that we tough, we masculine, but when they cut them lights out, 12, 1 o'clock, we all cry like a baby because we miss our kids. And some of the stuff you said made me cry for 6 weeks straight. Never saw his kids because he was doing life. He said, from this moment, we're going to take up a petition, and I'm going to put my name first, and then he's going to put his name on it, and he's going to put his name on it. By the end of the class, there was 20 names on there. He said, I'm going to take this to the warden myself and demand that every man that has a kid will have an opportunity to take this class. Visit them in prison. You guys get it? Turning the hearts. Been there ever since. And it's because of those 20 guys, Mr. Grover, Mr. Prime, Mr. Rossi, Mr. Baldwin, Mr. Daniels, why I do what I do for guys like you. Can you just give me 3 quick minutes? See, I've had people come in my life to do for me what I get the privilege to do for others. Just the other day, I was driving and I thought about my maturing brother and sister there. And the rest of them, every time they see me, they have a smile. And I left a meeting, and I got in my car, and the Lord said to me, thank you for taking on this unique ministry. Thank you for accepting the challenge to go where very few people will go. And I start laughing. And he started laughing. Because my wife is saying, hurry up. And I used to say all the time that I'm very unique. So say this with me. I am unique. I am unique. That is so unconvincing. Say this again. I am unique. Some of y'all don't even believe you're unique. One more time. I am unique. So would you please allow that uniqueness to be on display to help someone else's life change? There's a phrase that I start to use. Is it beneficial for all concerned? It is beneficial for everyone to see your uniqueness, so you can help them discover their uniqueness. Ooh, that was good. Ooh, that was good. So, Mr. Collins, would you please help me? So, last thing, I'm going to sit my little butt down. All of those who have helped me in this journey of discovering my uniqueness with PWPs, would you please stand? Why y'all still sitting down? The whole table, why are you still sitting down? Get up. Get up. Get up. Sam, get up. Marcy, get up. Tell your wife, get up. Thank you. Get up. Every day, someone is helping me continue to discover my uniqueness. Who's helping you continue to discover your uniqueness? I'm finna sit down, but I'm gonna leave you with this. When Todd Tanisha said family, everyone that touches my life is family. It's family. Thank you for coming. I appreciate you. Again, this is not about me. It's not about my wife. It's about the people that have been impacted by incarceration. We just get the privilege to be a tool used by the master for his use. Thanks again. Sorry I went overboard, but I love y'all.
Thanks, Paul. Thank you, Paul, for sharing. We are very close to the end. It's not a lot left. Well, you've heard this evening quite a bit about what this ministry is about, how they've worked with incarcerated parents, how they've worked with kids and helping mentor them. But I'd like for you to see just how good this ministry is. We've got some statistics I'd like to share with you. 99% of the Parenting with Purpose mentored youth have stayed in school. 95% have improved or maintained average or above average grades. 100% have remained crime-free. And you looked at, isn't that awesome? And of course, statistically, you look at this and it says children of prisoners are 7 times more likely to end up in prison. This is an awesome organization. We thank you guys for what you've done. What about those that are incarcerated? How have we impacted them? 98% have obtained a job or enrolled in school. 100% obtained safe housing. And 100% crime-free. It's an honor to be part of this organization, and you can be part of this too if you're not already involved and this is your first time here. I know the bidding is over, However, there's still more you can do with your app tonight. There are some things that you did not have to bid on, but ways you can help support the ministry. A couple of those are coming up on the next slides. We've got auction item 15, where you can sponsor some of these parenting classes. Paul was talking about the parenting classes he's been involved with. Well, during COVID, they couldn't go to the prisons. They had to make some videos and do some training and come up with different ways. And so this helps sponsor some of those classes. There's also one, item 13. You can sponsor 6 months of programming for a family. And there's a few others in there, and I'm not going to go through those, but you can look those up as well. As you can see on the next slide, there's a number of youth waiting for mentors. So there's opportunities for those of you who have not been involved. Here's an awesome way to get involved. And you heard some people talk this evening about what not only have you heard what it meant for those kids, but you've heard what it meant to the people that were doing the mentoring. You too can have that, and there's ways to do that. I'd like for you to get out that card that's in at your table that Priscilla talked about earlier. And she went through the back of the card ways you can be involved in this ministry. But there's more ways you can be involved. I know it's going to come to a shock to some of you, but we're here this evening as a fundraiser. So this ministry runs on volunteers. It needs volunteers, and you will be blessed by volunteers, and we can always use more. But it also takes money to run these programs. And so we could use your support, and there's many ways you can do that. You can see on the card some ways you can do it is to sponsor various things. You can sponsor school supplies, sponsor a child, sponsor a family, parenting classes, and some of those virtual parenting classes. The other boxes you can check down here, you can ask to be contacted regarding automatic giving. You can check with your employer. Quite often an employer will do matching gifts if you have donations to charities. So check with your employer to see if they might match any gifts that you give. And you can also donate things that are non-cash. Many of the things in the silent auction were donated that way, but beyond the silent auction, you can donate throughout the year, because many of the things we donate can be used by these families, whether they're with the person that's incarcerated or not. So if you have some things to donate, you can do that. And then the information is below. Back at the top of the card, if you just want to donate dollars for this ministry, you can do that. You can do a one-time gift. You can donate per month. We welcome all the gifts. And I know many people can write large checks, but you know what? Some of those small checks are just awesome too, and we can use that money as well. So we'd ask that you consider that. I'm just going to take just a moment of silence while you think about that. Take about 30 seconds, and we'll have a little prayer as you consider how you might want to be involved and how you might want to bless this ministry. And Father, we just come to you as people are, in turn, many here turning to you, asking how they can be blessed and how they can be involved and how they can help these incarcerated parents to be better parents, how they can help the kids to see someone that can help them grow in their lives and be better people and get out of this cycle of crime. Father, as we close here soon our meeting, we just thank you for all of those that were able to attend this evening, and we ask that they would all be blessed as they bless this ministry. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. Yeah, just reminded me. On the center of your table, there's a large envelope. So after you've completed your support cards, if you would, you can close those up. You can put them in your little small envelope if you want to. You don't need to, or you just put them in the large envelope. Maybe someone can pass that around at each one of your tables. Okay, on here, this shows you on here too, again, back on your app, you can donate through the app if you like. And this shows you how to do that. And so thank you this evening. I know you're wondering about the raffle.
We had just a couple of more minutes. If you want to buy a raffle ticket, you still got an opportunity to do that. There she is. Yep, right at that back table over there. $25. Anybody? You good? Okay. Raffle ticket, raffle ticket, raffle tickets. Oh, did I say that? Oh, for the raffle ticket? Did you raffle it? Didn't I say that? Oh, I'm sorry. It's a Microsoft tablet. A Microsoft Surface Pro 8.
8 gigs RAM. Oh my gosh, me getting on a mic? Yes, get on a mic. All right, so the winning prize for the raffle is valued at $1,500. It's a Microsoft Surface Pro 8, 256 hard drive, 8 gigs of RAM, 13-inch screen, doubles as a tablet, computer. You can hook it up to monitors as well, so it could also double as a desktop or a desktop replacement. Heck of a deal. Really, really nice device. That's my spiel.
Thank you. All right. Okay, does everybody have their tickets in? Those of you who wanted to register for the raffle, are we good? Okay, because we're going to do the drawing here in just one moment. Come on, baby. Where is it? Just gonna draw. Almost there, almost there. There we go. Whoop! Uh-oh. We don't have time for a recount. We don't have time for a recount. Just kidding. Thank you. All right, let's shake that thing up. Do we have a key? Is there a key to this? Oh, you just pull it up. Okay. Shake it up, shake it up. All right. Okay, then you can reach in there. You want to reach in there and grab one? Go ahead, grab whoever you want. Okay, go ahead, go ahead. All right, there we go. Come on. Whoops. We have David Hoffman. Is he here this evening time? All right, David Hoffman is the lucky winner. All right. Good, good. Oh, here, give me that ticket. Beautiful, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, everybody who went ahead and bought a raffle ticket for us this evening time. So we know that all good things must come to an end. And we know that we had a wonderful time for this evening. We certainly hope that you enjoyed the program. On behalf of PWP Board and our sponsors, we thank you once again for joining us this evening. My name is Priscilla Roberts. It's been a delight to serve as your MC for the evening. If you want to just give a round of applause, we got just one small announcement to make sure you get out of here the way that you're supposed to. Let's give us all a hand for this evening time. We thank you for that. All of our guests, we thank you. All right, let's see here. So as a reminder, we want to make sure that you check out on your phone if you won any of the silent auction items. There should be a checkout button on there. It's a little red one, I think, on there. Make sure you check out. They need your money. That's pretty much it. I mean, let's just get real about it, okay? We don't do it the old-fashioned way anymore. You got to check out on your phone. Make sense? All right. Be safe out there. Thanks, everybody, once again for coming.